Hi there, I'm Charlie Roy, and I am a implementation specialist for Echo Consulting. And today we're going to go over how to add a successors column to a Smartsheet project plan. So Smartsheet has this predecessors functionality, and you have to have your dependencies enabled within the project. But here you're able to set predecessors for given tasks, right? And so right now we're on row 4, and the task is to receive lumber delivery. We set the predecessor of row 3 because we have to order the lumber prior to getting the lumber delivered, and vice versa here. So I've already added some predecessors. We're going to add one more just to go over how to do that. So here we are at row 7. And that is to stand the roof trusses, and of course the walls need to be built prior to that. So we are going to put row 6 in as a dependency. Here we go. So now we have that as a predecessor. So that's great. That is how the predecessors column works. Now it can also be very helpful to know successors. So if we're way back here at row 3, which is ordering the number, it can be really handy to know what tasks are dependent on that one being finished. So what comes next? What are you able to do after you order the lumber? So we're going to get started by adding a new column. And so we'll click here. We're going to insert a column to the right. We're going to name it Successors. And this is going to be a text number column. So now we're going to add a column formula in order to find these successors. And so we're going to be using the join function. It's going to combine a range of cells into a string with optional delimiters between the values. Use join. Now we're going to use this successors function that Smartsheet has. Now using the successors function is dependent upon you having predecessors and dependencies enabled, because that is where they're getting the information for the successors. For a value, we're just going to choose the task name at the row that we're writing the formula right now. Put that in there. And so now we're back within this join function. Now it's important that we do put in this delimiter, because if we don't, it's just going to spit out all of the numbers in a string. And so rather than being separated, let's say the successors were 4, 5, and 6, it's just going to say 4, 5, 6, no spacing between the letters, making it hard to differentiate what is what. So in order to add this delimiter, we're going to use quotations, and our delimiter is going to be what's between the quotation marks. So we're going to put in a comma and then also a space, and it's important to have the space there as well. We'll close the quotation marks. We'll close off this formula and hit enter. Now we're going to right click here and convert this to a column formula. And there you have it. So now we have this column that is going to spit out our successors. So we know that task 3, ordering the lumber. We know that task 4, 5, and 6, receive the lumber delivery, build the walls, brace the walls, are all dependent on that ordering of the lumber. Now, something interesting to note down here at row 6 is that the successors are rows 7 and 8. Now, it's interesting because we didn't put any predecessors here in row 8, but you'll notice that at row 8, so row 7 is stand the roof trusses, and it has a subtask of schedule a crane. Okay, and so in order to stand the roof trusses, we need the crane. And so this one is a subtask. You can see how it's indented here from the task at row 7. So the cool thing about the successors column is that it's going to include the subtasks of the rows that you put a predecessor dependency on. Okay, and so that is why an 8 is showing up here with the 7. It's because schedule a crane is a subtask of stand the roof trusses, and that's going to be included in this column that we just built.